Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Welcome to our collective calls. We hold them on a Tuesday and Thursday. Today's Thursday, and yeah, we're happy to announce three speakers today to pitch here to answer the Q&A. So the usual drill. So first of all, we are Ivan and Malika, and we are hosting today's meeting as always. And yeah, speaking of our three speakers, let me introduce them real quick. So first of all, we got Brenton from a project called SPARQ. Then we got a project called Tergo, and we have a co-founder, Joseph, here. And last but not least, we got InsightGenesis co-founder, Branson Lee. So three amazing speakers. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a nice discussion today.
My name is Joseph. I'm here from Tergo. We're a company we've been around for 5 years now. We're based out of Gdańsk, Poland. We're originally a Web2 company and we're transitioning to the Web3 space. What we do is we collect and organize emissions data. All data, but specifically we focus on emissions data. So we're trying to build the first emissions data intelligence infrastructure. So like I was saying, so what we're doing is we're mapping the DNA of global emissions and we're doing it at a very, very high, fast scaling pace. Why we're doing this? So by 2027, there'll be 1.7 million companies in the EU that are going to need to report their emissions as part of their financial statements. This will be expanding onto any company that works with the EU. So the current emissions data space is about $10 billion, and it's going to be increasing to about a $20 billion data space, $20 billion market. So what we want to do, and part of our solution, is to reward users and reward corporations by sharing their emissions data and also purchasing it and monetizing it through us. What we currently have is we have three solutions that are right now versions 1.0, we could say. Their clients are using them. We have an accounting software, we have an app, and we have APIs. Sorry, let me just go back to that for a quick second. So what that means is our clients, the way we work is our clients use the accounting software, and then the app all their employees would be able to use it to track their emissions automatically based on their transportation choices. What our business revenue model is that we sell, right? So one of our the people that would buy our data and that we have interest is companies like Microsoft, Amazon Business, various insurance companies that we work with. So what our next stage is, we're going to be implementing automation of the data collection through different AI and ML solutions. For example, scrubbing data from companies' share spaces, their folders, reading PDFs, Word documents, and converting that information into the data that they need for the reports and their filing. We are powered by, all our solutions are powered by Tergo token. So like I said, we reward users for using the app, we reward companies, but also companies have to use the token to reward their employees, but also have to use the token to purchase the data. Currently, we have, like I said, this is a little bit of a picture of our app. We are very strong on the intellectual property side. We have one patent already granted. The patent is in generating environmental credits based on human behavior. We have 3 non-provisional patents pending, one of them specifically in the 3D token space, creation of cryptocurrency based on human behavior. We have another 5 to 6 patents on the pipeline that we'll be filing this year. Where we are as a company, so like I said, we have clients using our first versions of our products. We have an average of over 90% conversion rate of our clients. We've surpassed our revenue forecast year upon year. We have a waiting list of clients waiting to work with us. Our current client base is paying clients are from MasterCard to Pepsi, Credit Agricole Bank, and we have waiting clients from JP Morgan, Santander Bank, Kraft. You name it, they want to work with us because we are considered, not to brag, we are considered the experts in the field. But that being said, one big thing of credibility that we do bring to this space is transitioning Web2 companies into the Web3 space, right? So we're kind of a buffer. So we get them working with our token, rewarding themselves, paying for their emissions. So it's kind of baby steps for big corporations to work with within our token and into the Web3 space. What we're targeting was raising 2.4 million USD. We have a lead investor secured. We have about 500,000 right now committed. We need about 800,000 now from different VCs. We hope to close in the next couple of weeks about 800,000 from a couple more VCs. But we are looking for, because the Web3 space is different, we do want to eventually launch. We are looking for KOLs. We're looking for people who want to work with us to promote a community, help us on marketing. We do need that. It's not the same as credibility saying, we have these huge clients and we're moving on to the Web3 space or launching. We understand there's a community thing, or tokenomics. You contact us, and yeah, I think I'm overboard. So
Yeah, thank you
thanks,
so
guys.
much, Joseph, for being on time. Now, guys, as I said before, it's Q&A time. Feel free to leave your questions in the chat or raise your hand.
Sure.
First, you got some impressive partnerships lined up. How do you see the Burbs Nest helping you expand your reach in the crypto space? Do you have a specific
Yeah.
strategy to engage their 700K followers?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've partnered with the Burbs Nest. What we do is, we're not experts in the field, right? So we do these strong partnerships. The goal with the Burbs Nest is to build a community, to understand what we're doing, to have support for our token, to have support for us, what we're doing, and help us with the marketing wise, right? Adrian is a very strong advisorship, so he has been helping us, how to move to in this Web3 space. We've also brought on board a great team from ICP. But yeah, we understand, for us, it was a little bit eye-opening, to be honest with you, that, a lot of the support on when you want to launch is, based on community. It's not really based on, okay, look, so we have revenue. We have Pepsi as a client, okay, that's nice, but that's Web 2. Web 3, there's like, what, how many people are following you? Who's hype and all that. So we need that transition, right? So the Burbs Nest, we need to build a community. We understand it's important. We need to have support for our token. But that being said, we also will be announcing partnerships with them and bringing the credibility of I think the Web 2 of big corporate clients into this space.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much for taking care of the first question. We got another one. Tom says, very interesting project. Data is big market to tap 100%. If you could solve an interesting question, if you could solve one problem today, what would that be?
I would definitely get rid of the carbon credit market the way it is. It is the West. It's a wild West. It's horrible. I have not seen one project in Web3 that is a real project. And I think by not there's real solutions out there, not just with data, but with real carbon credit solutions. There could be, but because it's such a wild West and because there's not really regulations and there's so much standards, it really just undermines the whole entire idea behind it, right? So it could be a great solution for the climate, let's just say, but if that's one thing I could eliminate, I would eliminate that and start from scratch.
Okay, totally. Another one. With multiple venture firms backing you, how do you ensure that the influence and expertise you bring to the table are aligned with your long-term vision? Any fun or surprising insights you gained from working with these investors?
Okay. So we do have a long-term vision, of course, right? Our long-term vision right now is a lot of it is aligned with regulations, and we're actually part of a lot of the regulation discussions. So we're part of think tanks, we work with governments, we're part of the discussions ahead of time with universities. So we do know what's coming down the pipeline, and we're part of those, the expectations and the realistic expectations, right? So we're kind of like a middle ground in these discussions. So I think our long-term objectives is going to be aligned with, policies that are going to be in place. So we're okay with that. That being said, with investors and even advisors, everyone wants things really, really fast sometimes. And we've taken an approach of we were the same way too in the beginning, develop. But now what we do is we work with a company or we work with people and we develop a product, we do pilot programs, and we base our development a lot on feedback. Sure, we align with policy and regulations, but when we create new features on the app or new features on the software, it's not like in the beginning we thought, oh, this is what everyone wants and what they need. We don't do that anymore. We go back, we go to the client to see what they want, and then we develop based on that, right? Obviously, there's some of our input, but we find that is more productive and it really eliminates a lot of, it speeds things up in that sense, but it also eliminates a lot of wasted time to go to market.
Yeah, I see. Thanks. And while we still have time, I also have a question, Joseph. So yeah, could you tell us a bit more about the roadmap? So what's in store? What about the future plans and your scaling strategy?
Yeah, so we're going to be moving to a version 2.0 of our solution where we're going to be incorporating kind of like the scope 3, which is a supply chain tracking. Real-time tracking, and then we have an AI solution roadmap, incorporating AI agents, which will be very basic, very simple, easier for us to do. We're ready for that. But the big thing will be AI automation of data collection. What I mean by that is a company has share folders, like I was saying before. You scrub that data and you make sure it's correct, right? We do audit reports. We audit all our information through third parties, work with universities. But companies want to know that what you get and what you scrub and the data that they input is the correct data coming out, right? And that is going to be really huge in the market. So for us, the leaders in the space, there's a lot of companies in the space. No one has the patents and the apps that we do, but there's a lot of companies in this space. But the leaders in the next 3-4 years are the ones who automate data collection. You have to be doing that, and you have to be doing it correctly. Companies or people do not want to input information into another accounting software. That's in the past. You have to be.
Yeah, totally agree. And besides, Tom previously said, true, a lot of trust to build there. So yeah. So we have no more questions. Should we move on, Malika? What do you say?
Yeah, thank you so much, Joseph, for the pitch. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Let's move to the next project.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you.
Thanks. The next one, Brenton, can you now share your screen?
Early, but I'm Brenton. I am the co-founder and CEO in the SPARQ ecosystem. We are a next generation AI and blockchain enabled game publishing user acquisition platform. So what that means is we combine tier 1 IP, cutting edge AI, and AAA game design to drive users in a very traditional way. We are not trying to onboard traditional gamers into Web3. We're trying to bring Web3 benefits to where those gamers and those users already exist. And we utilize blockchain benefits to engage and retain them once we have those users in our gaming platform. It's not about speculation. We do not see blockchain technology as a very good, or we don't see tokenization as a very good user acquisition strategy or a speculation strategy for token economies. We think it's a retention model first and foremost. So we take that approach. It's a 3-pronged approach. We believe the combination of these 3 things will usher in what our true mission is, and that's to build really badass games and bring on the proliferation of blockchain benefits to the masses. I've been in this space about 10 years now. Seen the run the gamut, some of the earliest NFT collections, token protocols, research analysts at Wall Street through VC. And we really want to see this technology used in a way that's like symbiotic and adds value to the user experience or the game development process. And we don't think that's really happened. So we combine tier 1 sports IP, really capitalize on major IPs associated user acquisition demand. Think Madden NFL, College Football 25, FIFA, NBA 2K, etc. This builds immediate brand trust and immediate user base. And it's very high retention, very low acquisition cost. We bring second in, and these 2 are the first we really focused on to build the foundations of this ecosystem for the last 12 months. We really believe that once you have that type of IP, and we do, we'll go into our first sports license here in a moment, that you really need a very wide mind share from the best of Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. You need to bring that mind share in camp to kind of figure out what are the best business practices of game design, user acquisition, game development, marketing. These are just traditional best practices that shouldn't, in our mind, be rewritten from the last decades of gaming. And you combine that with experts in the Web3 field, and you can kind of bring all these worlds together. And so, that's really what we have here. We're writing the team. We have arguably the best game publishing team in the world. This isn't just Web3. This is an objective claim. And this is really where we wanted to start first and foremost. This isn't our first rodeo. My co-CEO, we take a Scopely analog. So we have a co-CEO approach. I'm the CEO on the foundation side. Jan Horsfall is my co-CEO on the game publishing side. To start with him, these guys they're the first to launch free-to-play game monetization in North America and Europe with Lord of the Rings Online. The very bedrocks of modern game monetization were established by Jan Horsfall, my co-CEO, and Chase Huber, our user acquisition specialist. These guys have had user acquisition engines acquired by Warner Brothers Games. That was Turbine for $250 million about a decade ago. They have been at the forefront of technology and scaling multi-billion-dollar operations since the 90s. Jan was the 6-man through the door, the CMO at Lycos, fastest IPO in NASDAQ history, right back into that old indexing days. So we just really bring a lot of expertise in operationalizing these ideas in Web3 and bringing them to market at scale. Our Jeff Stiefel, our head of games, has been many times ranked top 10 game designer in the world, 35 titles under his belt. He built Magic the Gathering from the ground up, Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, Bondi, and 35 other titles. So what you could see there is AAA game design combined with IP, right? Bondi, Batman, X-Men, Madden NFL, Lord of the Rings Online, Game of Thrones. These are the game designers and the guys behind those types of games. And same thing with our advisory board, runs the gamut from sports tech, ex-NBA Players Association Deputy Director, the NBA license for SoRare, to ex-co-founder of Mythical Games, PUBG advisor, and then onto the Web2 side. They run the litany of expertise in scaling multi-billion-dollar operations, from Sony to Universal and everywhere in between. Something kind of goes on, it's like, why start with sports IP? We really see this as the largest user acquisition funnel in the world. Super high retention, super low acquisition cost. And that's really where the users are. They consistently rank among the top games in the world. FIFA, $1.6 billion grossed. Our license was actually used for the first time in a decade, recently with College Football Madness, $1 billion to date in 9.5 months using this license. So it's really, it's really where the fans are. It's where the user acquisition is. And it's where gamers really want to see more gaming styles, more casual game styles, non-sport simulation, which is why EA dropped their FIFA license 2 years ago, because it was too restrictive. It was too sports simulation. So we have an opportunity to come in and take all of these, these sports leagues and create casual games for a massive user base. Yeah, our license, to start, we have one of the most exclusive and valuable sports gaming licenses in the world. There's less than a dozen a decade. There's been a hiatus for litigation in building games with this license. It is the top grossing sports league in the entire world, 50% higher than NBA, 3 times higher than the Premier League. There are very few of these licenses, so it's a great opportunity to grab serious beachhead and gathering our first users onto the platform. And there's very, very little competition, almost none on mobile. And last, I will say our token is a retention model. It's a rewards token. It's a digital asset ownership token gate primarily, and a native yield token. So I'll break off from there, just go to some Q&As.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brenton, for your pitch. Yeah, let's go to our questions. We've got some here. Securing a collegiate gaming license with access to 700 plus universities is impressive. How do you plan to engage this massive fan base right from the start?
Yeah, this really comes down to best business practices and user acquisition. Chase Huber, we have a fantastic conversation to have in the future with him. So on that side, they take a very traditional user acquisition approach. They are, meeting the fans kind of where they are. They have, and the reality too is, I guess, let me not go too deep into the best business, the traditional user acquisition strategies, because that's just not my wheelhouse. It's the credibility of the team that I would stand on that side. But this license has a decade of pent up demand. It was caught in litigation. Everybody knows that the NCAA NIL litigation was kind of closing things off. So the opportunity it's right. There is 185 million fans that haven't had gaming representation in a decade. The first utilization of this license was College Football Madness. It was the best-selling game of all of 24, best-selling sports game of all time in the United States, just past NBA 2K. So the reality is, it's not that hard when you have a license like this to garner users. The gamers are waiting at the digital arena. There just isn't any AAA games for them to play yet.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, hope it answers the question. Tom says that some heavy hitters. Yeah. Another one, you're bringing big sports brands into the Web3 world. What's the most exciting collaboration you're working on to bridge the gap between fans and brands?
It's definitely Collegiate sports. I feel, honestly, I almost think it's too good to be true sometimes that this is the first license we get. There's literally less than a dozen. There's none. So I'm most excited. And I grew up watching collegiate sports. I grew up in Nebraska, which Nebraska football in the States, and if nobody's from the States, college football, college basketball, college sports it's a religion. This is it's the most engaged fan base in the entire world. If you ask anybody in the States over 12, 7 out of 10 people have a favorite college sports team, right? So it's like that. I'm deeply excited, and I feel completely privileged that it's us and EA and they're on console, we're on mobile. I like the CAGR of mobile better. So if you ask me, there's just almost no competition in collegiate sports. It's super exciting. It's extremely engaging. And I mean, all of my co-founders, except for Shannon, are previous D1 athletes or went pro. And it's just an exciting time to get involved. We're also talking with PSG, Manchester City, And that's been very exciting because I've never had any exposure to like European football clubs. And I think, being able to create really casual games where you can integrate the brands of say PSG and the Texas Longhorns or Duke into the same type of environment in a very cohesive way. So you can introduce gamers to all of these different brands organically. I think that's the most exciting to me. I have a small affinity for PSG and Manchester City already, just because of that repetitive exposure I've had over the last half year talking to their joint innovation studio, et cetera.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks. And also Tom says that, I will read that one. I've been building in Web3 gaming for the past 4 years. It's been quite challenging due to tech restrictions and the capacity to generate sustainable revenue. How are you going to monetize and build revenue streams?
Oh, it's traditional best practices. Nobody on the Web3 side is building games. We do not think crypto bros should be building games. When I was on an offsite a few months ago with the team, I am completely buried in these game design collaborative meetings. It's a phenomenal thing. Go into the crypto side of token economies, Web3 strategy, all compliance, etc. It's the same thing on the other side of the coin. So really, we're not reinventing anything. We've already done this with some of the absolute largest IP that's ever existed in the last decades. This isn't their first rodeo. So Web3 gaming and a lot of things, I think of the issue as mind share, right? We have people like crypto bros, doing user acquisition, building game publishing, game design, etc. And it's just, I just don't think that's the best way to go about it. And I think it becomes almost easy when you look at the team, and this isn't even our entire team, and you look at our organizational chart and realize, oh, they're just going to go do this again. But instead of Magic the Gathering, which Jeff Stiefel built that from the ground up, or Madden NFL, which our team executive produced, we're going to take a Collegiate license and build a similar caliber of game design very quickly and hyper efficiently, because we've already, we have 13 AI hyperscaling verticals. So, these guys, Jeff Stiefel put 3 game design documents together in less than a month, like a couple weeks, where they would have had to push their game design documents for a half a year, 6, 7, 8 months in the past to come to just those 3 game design documents. So, it really is about mind share to me. Don't let crypto bros build games and do user acquisition, and do not let traditional Web2 people that don't understand the nuances of this industry build token economies, right? That's really how I see it. We've already done it. That's the crazy part to me.
Okay, thank you. Hope it answers the question. Just reminding you, everyone, that here in the chat you can find Brenton's contact details. So if you want to connect with the project after the call, feel free to text Brenton in Telegram, or also you can find his email here.
I also have a question.
Go ahead.
About that. Brenton, speaking of tokenomics, could you please elaborate on token utility and token distribution? Well, we still have time, so yeah.
And please hit me up after this. To be honest, Q&A open forum where I'm either exposed or validated is my favorite type of pitch. So ask any other questions, anything like that, feel free. I'm an open book, but lost my train of thought. Can you remind me that question one more time, Ivan?
Yeah, totally. I was just asking regarding token utility, tokenomics. So
Yeah. So first of all, this isn't inflation-based rewards. This is all revenue-based token buybacks. That's the long-term strategy. We take a very traditional user acquisition approach. We will have tens of millions of people around this game publisher very quickly. And the revenue from in-game purchases to subscriptions to DeFi yield, everything under the sun will all go, a percentage of that will go as a retention line item on the balance sheet. And we'll go to a token buyback program. And those tokens, a percentage of those tokens will be burned. A percent will be distributed to as native yield to the governance stakers, to the governance contract. A percentage will be allocated for the gamers themselves, not play to earn. This is simply, you spent this amount of time here, and we have decentralized identification solutions attached to your account, meaning we have proof of human, so you can't Sybil attack us. You spent this much time here, you have this much rewards allocated to you accordingly and relative to your actual player boosting, like their SPARQ level. And then there's developers, athlete ambassadors, and the NCAA are opened up for brand NIL deals now. So we can distribute a percent to them, distribute for licensing deals for NFTs, etc. And then where do you use a token? First and foremost, it's a reward token. So these tokens are meant to be used on a brand partnership marketplace. Think subscriptions, hardware, lotteries, offer from Domino's randomly coming through while you're playing the game. And it's all sponsored is the idea. And you can do that with a large enough user base. So essentially the idea is the majority of these tokens that are spent on the reward marketplace should never hit our LP. That's really the goal, is that the amount of users we have and the caliber of games we have will attract enough brand sponsorships, a la like Sweat Economy, that when we actually engage with the rewards marketplace, you never touch the token LP, almost at all. And those tokens can be then burned. They're essentially burned. A chunk can go back into the treasury if you'd like. And then there's a massive chunk of a few tokens here and there that will just be lost to eternity because they aren't used in wallets as they're distributed, but they were bought with real revenue. So that LP stays there. And that's just the beginning. There's a litany of other further opportunities once you get a large user base around DeFi, attaching a SPARQ card. We already have the tech. 20 seconds, you can go ERC20 to any MasterCard or Stripe bank account right now. So we'll attach that eventually. Now you can attach decentralized and centralized banking services to a user base, and you can keep adding verticals to that existing game platform, game publishing user base.
That was really smooth. Thank you so much, Brenton, for taking care of my question. So yeah, we're moving on. Brenton, again, thank you so much. We're having our third speaker now. So yeah, guys, please welcome Branson Lee from InsightGenesis. Branson, thank you so much for connecting whenever you're ready.
Essentially, our idea is to revolutionize data ownership through AI-powered decentralized personal insights. That seems like a mouthful, but let me just explain. So basically, InsightGenesis, what we are doing is that we are empowering users to create a AI-powered decentralized personal insight. And what that enables them to do is that they can own, monetize, and share data securely, right? And at the same time, this kind of data is quite useful for businesses and some of the entities out there. So in terms of what we're essentially part of a Web2 company called InsightGenie. InsightGenie has been around since 2022, and in fact, they have been backed by very prominent financial institutions like HSBC, which invested at the seed round, Vin Capital, Artisan, Orbit, and so on and so forth. We're present in many countries, Indonesia, Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and so on and so forth. We have a run rate of $60 million every year. In fact, this year is on par to clock about 41 million. And that's at the parent level. In terms of timing, I think we all know this. Global data is obviously reaching a massive amount of 180 zettabytes. I don't even know how many zeros that is. But essentially, if you combine global data together with the AI global market, I think we are looking at a very, very massive total addressable market. And this is exactly what we're talking about, right? So we are at the intersection of three mega trends. One is data monetization. So obviously, we have heard of this phrase called data is the new oil. Secondly, in terms of powered insights, we have a lot of data. The question is, how do we make sense of this data and what can we do with it, right? And finally, in terms of ownership, we are all here because of Web3. The question is, how do you then empower users so that they can actually own, control, and also give access to some of this data that they have. The challenges that we address, these are some of them. Again, like I said, the identity part, how do you passport yourself across the different Web3 services that you intend to get access to, instead of in the traditional finance world, what you have to do is to fill up forms and whatnot. Of course, now there are identities and so on and so forth, but the question is, how do you do them in the Web3 space, right, in a secure manner? And not just a secure manner, but also what kind of identity can you sort of enrich it with, right? Because a lot of the identity solutions out there are purely just giving you a web address, and at the same time, ask you to scan your biometric data. But what do you gain out of that? That's the thing that we're trying to address here. Okay, ownership as well as behavioral data. Right. So I'll explain in the next few slides. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. We are an AI-powered decentralized personal insight, and each scan, which means that we take three types of data. One is your face, right? So you can use any devices. It could be your phone, your desktop, computers, and so on and so forth. You can actually do a scan. And what we'll do is we'll capture the biomarkers on your face. We will also take a 40-second recording of your voice. And what we can do is that we will combine this with the third kind of data that we have, which is your digital social footprint. And these three types of data will create a 360-degree insight of your personal identity. And with this identity, you can then use it as a form of passport across the Web3 space. This is a little bit complicated, but it's exactly like what I just explained. You can grant, revoke, and even give access to whichever entities that you want to work with. And eventually, what we intend to do is also to enrich this kind of data with other sources. Right? It could be attestation from the postal office or even the telcos. We also work with businesses out there, and these are the 4 pillars that we work with: financial inclusion, health and wellness, education, and human resource. Just to give you an example, in the financial inclusion space, if you work with a third world country, and we're talking about people with no access to financial services or even economic activities, they don't have IDs, right? The question is, if I want to, let's say I'm a farmer, right, in the third world country, the question is, how do I gain access to financial services, right? That's where I have to, and use my face to scan and my voice as well, and out-churn the credit score. And with this information, I can actually borrow money from financial institutions. So these are the main points that I want to bring across. But just to maybe share with you, the accuracy of the scan. Go to this. So the accuracy of the scan is up to 83%, right? And this has been back-tested with thousands of profiles. And why we are doing this in the Web3 space is to go direct to the users. And with the token that we are going to give in exchange for the data that the users are giving up, we believe that we will be able to onboard hundreds and thousands of users, much like WorldCoin. But in terms of WorldCoin, I think they are not giving enough utility. And at the same time, there's also a lot of pushback in terms of the security bit. And we are intending to secure all this data with MPC solution. Happy to take any questions here.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much, Branson, for the pitch part. Now to Q&A. Guys, expecting questions from you, and besides, we already received one real. So with users owning 100% of their data, how do you ensure that individuals feel confident about sharing their personal information for things like facial scanning and voice analysis?
Yeah, so users will own their data, and we don't keep any data. So essentially, what we are doing is that we provide insights into the scans and the voice recording. So all data will be owned by the users, and it will be put on IPFS.
Okay, gotcha. Another one, the data verification success rate of 93% is impressive. What steps are you taking to ensure even higher accuracy as the platform scales?
Good question. So that's the reason why we are going to Web3. The Web2 space, I think we have been working with a lot of institutions, telcos and government agencies. But these are just B2B businesses, and the amount of data that they can share is also limited. So what we want to do is to go mass. And with the data that individuals are sharing with us, I think what we can do is that we can glean insights, and then we can train our model further and improve the accuracy.
Sure, thank you. Guys, we still have time for a couple of questions. Feel free to leave them in the chat. Besides reminding you about the contact details, it's all in the chat as well. So be sure to check Branson's TG and email. And Branson, yeah, I have a question as well. So who are your target audience?
Our target audience is the mass market. And of course, like I said, we also work with businesses. So we work with decentralized or what we call the DePIN companies as well. So there are some companies out there, they have their own solutions, but they do not have a face scanning solution or even the voice analysis part. That's where we can work with them. We can provide APIs to these companies. So B2B in the Web3 space, as well as the end user and retail users. Yeah.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you for explaining this one. We received another one. Since users have full control over their data, how does AGI incentivize them to share it while ensuring they get fair value and privacy in return? Yeah,
so we intend to give a lot more utility to the token itself. So once they have enough, once they have scanned, our facial scan is actually something like a medical report, right? So for the users themselves, obviously, you want to have the most recent, health markers for yourself. So what you can do is that you can, scan your face again and provide us with your voice, and we will churn out a report for you. So in terms of the utility part, I think the users can come back and scan multiple times. Of course, not every day. If they want, they can do that. But at intervals where it is appropriate, and they will get a report. They will report a health report based on whatever they have scanned. They also gain insights into their behavioral. The behavior, right? So for example, one key area that we are working with some of the VCs out there is that let's say the VC wants they have a mandate that they want to work with 4 different types of founders, right? One could be outgoing, one could be conscientious, one could be detail oriented, for example, right? So with the face scan and the voice scan, we can generate a report and tell the VC that these are the specific behavior of the founders, the mix of the founders, and it's up to them to then whether they want to change the founders or tell them to improve in certain areas. But that's one area. Even in the HR space, right? So if you notice that a certain employee is exhibiting stress, that's where the users can scan it and they are given all this insight. So long story short, I think most of the users, when they scan, they get a lot of insights into what they're doing. So therefore, I think that will encourage the users to come back again and again. And with the most recent data, they can also share with some of the services out there, and perhaps they can also gain some discounts or whatever. For example, telemedicine, right? So telemedicine doctors, they would require at least the initial triage, right? So they need to know your blood pressure, whether all the basic stuff, and all this can be done through the scans from our app.
Yeah, totally. We receive another one. So it goes like this: educational content for users will be key. It will take quite some time to build trust with people, especially since it's quite a complex ecosystem. It's good you already have an influx of users from Web2. Yeah, it's more like comment maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Branson, thank you so much for your pitch. It was a pleasure hearing you out. Wishing you best of luck. And guys, if you want to hop in and be our next guest on our collective calls, be sure to check out our form for participation, which is right now in the chat. Also, there's a feedback form, so be sure to leave your thoughts. And yeah, it was so nice hearing you all. See you here. See you next week. Have a great weekend. And yeah, that's all I want to say. Cheers.